Well, there might be a massive snowstorm going on outside right now, but we are staying warm because the hot stove is very hot. Not really so much with the White Sox in the moment, but there's a lot of fun, exciting things going on around baseball. When it became apparent that one of the greatest pitchers in the American League, Blake Snell, was available via trade, understandably, there were a lot of White Sox fans who were curious about if we could get him. And admittedly, a starting rotation of Blake Snell, Lucas Giolito, Dallas Keuchel, and Lance Lynn, wow, that would be amazing. But I think we all wanted to know, what would it take to get Blake Snell? Obviously, the White Sox didn't get him. He went out to San Diego, a team that now has one of the best, scariest starting rotations in all of baseball, and it will only get better in 2022 when Mike Clevenger comes back from injury. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with for a long time out in the NL West. I decided that now, since we saw what it took to get Blake Snell, let's take a look at what a White Sox package would have necessitated. And it'll be up to you guys to say if it would have been worth it or not. Now, as I've said before, I'm a guy that overvalues prospects a little too much, the whole what if of it all. And I'm okay dealing from a place of positional depth or a place, maybe a player is deep down in the farm system, maybe highly touted, but he's still only at single A. A lot can happen between single A and the major leagues. Kind of okay with dealing from positions like that. I tried to come up with a comparable trade scenario that kind of matches what San Diego gave up. Of course, we would have had to outbid San Diego, so our offer would have to be a little bit bigger, and San Diego did give up some really good players, prospects, in order to get Blake Snell on their team. Trying to come up with a trade scenario, I ended up coming up with 3. The big question is, would you have been comfortable trading these prospects for a proven winner in Blake Snell? So first, let's take a look at what San Diego actually gave up. The trade was centered around a pitching prospect, Luis Patiño. He was San Diego's number 3 prospect in their entire system, a very stacked system, and he was also going to a very stacked system with Tampa Bay. So he was leaving San Diego as their number 3 prospect. He becomes Tampa Bay's number 3 prospect now. We have to remember that Tampa Bay isn't just some rebuilding team. They made it to the World Series last year. Their entire team just about is coming back this coming year, so they need to be competitive. He's a guy that might be able to step into the back end of the rotation. I would assume that Tampa is going to make some other upgrades between now and opening day, but Luis Patiño is a guy that has an immediate impact on the team. The club also clearly needs help at catcher. In this trade, they ended up acquiring 2 catchers, somebody that can start immediately, who we will get to in a moment, but their prospect that they picked up was Blake Hunt. He went from being the number 14 prospect within San Diego's system to number 24 in Tampa Bay's system. Another pitching prospect that they picked up is Cole Wilcox. He was somebody that was just drafted in 2020. So he's a way off, but he's a guy that has good stuff. He was San Diego's number 7 prospect. He will step into being the number 8 prospect in the Tampa system. And the catcher that Tampa needed immediately is Francisco Mejía. He had a really good year in 2019. Has never really fully blossomed into the star potential that a lot of people saw of him as a prospect. He has had good years. He has shown good stuff in the past. He's a capable catcher, not a star. But that was a role that Tampa needed to fill. I think Fangraphs, as usual, did a good job of summarizing it. The Rays' return for Snell includes a pitcher who could at least be his equal and 2 others who seem bound for the top 100 prospects list. Okay, so knowing that the Rays were trying to get a pitcher who could be at least his equal, in all 3 of my scenarios, Michael Kopech is at the top of it. So we'll fill in all of those scenarios right away. Michael Kopech, of course, is the White Sox number 2 prospect. There are probably some questions about him because he missed a year due to Tommy John surgery, and then he opted out of 2020 as he's going through some personal issues. The guy is undeniably intensely talented, but I feel like there's a lot of question marks right now. When it comes to trying to find a match, somebody in our system who is similar to Luis Patiño, Michael Kopech is the only person that comes close, and there's really nobody else that's near that. Trying to find a comparable for Blake Hunt, I have to go with Sebi Zavala. He is our top-rated catching prospect. He is our number 20 prospect in the system via Fangraphs. Now, I will say that there's another name that's going to come up who is a catcher who is ranked higher, but I think that ranking is a little high, but we will get to him in a minute. Finding a comparable for Cole Wilcox, we have Jared Kelly, who is a White Sox draft pick in 2020, so he's still a ways off. He is our number 5 prospect. And because Tampa wanted a catcher with some major league experience, even though he doesn't have very much, Zach Collins will be that guy in this scenario. Collins is absolutely just a huge question mark because we've not given him the opportunity to have regular playing time. I think as the season stands right now, if there's no more additions, he is our designated hitter because he hits from the left side. The White Sox need left-handed bats. He's a guy with a great eye that has not had regular playing time in the major leagues. I know a lot of White Sox fans have cooled on him just because we haven't seen him, I think is the biggest thing. And especially now that he is blocked from the catching position by Yasmani Grandal. He might seem expendable, but we're also desperately looking for a good left-handed hitter, and we might have one in Zach Collins. We just don't really know yet because we haven't given him enough major league at-bats. In scenario 2, as you know, it's still headlined by Michael Kopech. I kept Zavala in there, but instead of trying to give up on one of our recent top picks, I chose Jonathan Stever. He's a guy that made his big league debut in 2020, just got a couple of games in. He's ranked as the White Sox number 12 prospect per Fangraphs, but he might not be as exciting a pick as Jared Kelly, so therefore we're going to have to give up a little extra in this scenario. I still sent Zach Collins over, but we'd have to maybe sweeten the pot with maybe somebody like Micker Adolfo or Blake Rutherford. Adolfo is our number 9 prospect, Rutherford is our 16. I really wouldn't want to give up either of them as just the toss-in type of player since they do have value, so maybe somebody much lower in our top 30 list would work. So in our final option, I would say this would be the one that would be the most painful for White Sox fans, but I do think it would get the job done. We have a very top-heavy 2 instead of 1 and then filling in. So we have Michael Kopech, and then yes, the White Sox number 1 prospect, Andrew Vaughn. The reason being that Tampa Bay is not doing great from the designated hitter or first base perspective, and Vaughn is a guy that could step in immediately and have an impact on a World Series contender. I honestly think those 2 alone would have been enough to do the deal, but if Tampa Bay had a sticking point of needing a catching prospect, I put Yermin Mercedes in there. Fangraphs has him ranked as our number 14 prospect. I think that's very high. He is a guy that with great raw power, but he's not a great overall player. That is, he's maybe a one-tool player, and maybe there's room to grow with some of his other skills, but he is not a great defender. He is not a great overall hitter, but he does absolutely have big raw power. So there's 3 options for what the White Sox could have traded away in order to get recent Cy Young winner Blake Snell. There's 3 years remaining of Blake Snell's contract. So fortunately, we wouldn't be giving up great players, great prospects for just one rental season. We'd have them for a bit. But here's one other thing that gives me pause. If you look back through a history of Tampa Bay ace pitchers that got traded away, you'll see names like Scott Kazmir, Matt Garza, James Shields, David Price, and Chris Archer. Now, I'm not saying that all of these guys went off a cliff after being traded from Tampa, some more than others. David Price is a big example of that, but he did still have some good years. He had a great postseason not too long ago, so respect's due. But still, these guys had their best years in Tampa Bay, and it seems like Tampa knows when to trade their pitchers. Do they see something in his mechanics and his ability that they don't like? Did the relationship cool after there was that little dust-up after his last World Series appearance? Who knows? But at the end of the day, there's no question Blake Snell would have immediately been a huge upgrade to the White Sox rotation. I'm very happy to have all of our minor leaguers still in our system, but there's no doubt about it that if Snell was a White Sox, we would have been shoo-ins to run away with the AL Central. So what do you think? Would you have made any of these 3 trades? Do you have a different trade to suggest? I'm all ears. Put it in the comments below, and I will be back with another video very soon. I've been working on a couple of different ones, so we do have some good content coming up. Stay warm out there, and I will talk to you very soon.